The Paradox of Deontology. Imagine a rule: never kill, a clean moral line, a principle you won't cross no matter the cost. It feels right, unshackable, safe. That's the heart of deontology. That moral system based on rules instead of consequences. You don't lie, you don't steal, you don't kill, not because of what might happen, but because those actions are inherently wrong. No exceptions, no compromises. But now enter the paradox. You're hiding a family from soldiers. They knock on your door and ask, "Are there people hiding here?" If you tell the truth, they die. If you lie, you break the moral law. Deontology says, lying is wrong, even if it saves lives. But now the rule has led to death. And if you follow every rule perfectly, but the world burns anyway, what exactly have you preserved? This is the paradox of deontology. It tries to protect morality from compromise, but in doing so, it may become immoral itself. The rules begin to conflict. They clash in the real world. What happens when don't lie contradicts don't let innocent people die? Which rule wins? Or worse, if you break one to save another, have you already failed? The paradox reveals something unnerving. A system built to be pure can collapse when forced into reality, because reality isn't clean. It's messy, and sometimes choosing the lesser evil still feels like evil. So now you stand there, at the edge of a moral law. If you break it, you save lives. If you keep it, people die. But if you're truly deontological, you don't ask what happens next. You just follow the rule, even if the cost is everything. Goodman's paradox, also known as the paradox of Grue. Imagine a scientist studying emeralds. Every emerald she's ever seen is green. Hundreds, thousands, all the same color. So she makes a prediction. All future emeralds will also be green. Seems reasonable, right? That's how induction works. You observe a pattern. You assume it will continue. But now, imagine a new word. Grue. Something is grue if it is green before a certain time, let's say the year 2100, but blue after that time. So every emerald you've ever seen, it's Grue too, because they were all green before 2100. Now, let's say it's 2099. You look at your emeralds and think, they're all green, so future emeralds will be green. But someone else using the word Grue looks at the exact same data and says, they're all Grue, so future emeralds will turn blue. Same evidence, two completely different predictions. So who's right? This is Goodman's paradox, posed by philosopher Nelson Goodman in the 20th century. It's a challenge to the very foundation of science and logic, inductive reasoning. Because here's the paradox. Why do we trust the term green more than Grue? They both describe the same past, but only one leads to a prediction we're comfortable with. Is that because it's more logical or just more familiar? Goodman shows that no amount of past evidence can tell you which terms are projectable, which ones are safe to use when predicting the future. So induction, the backbone of science forecasting everyday reasoning, suddenly feels shaky, because when you choose a label for what you see, you're also shaping what you expect. Change the label, change the future, and the deeper question creeps in. If our categories like green or grew are just inventions of language, then how much of what we know is actually real? Or are we just sorting the world into words and hoping they hold together? Goodman's paradox doesn't just break induction. It fractures certainty. It shows that even perfect evidence can lead us off the rails if we're asking the wrong questions. So next time you trust a pattern, a rule, a forecast, a law of nature, ask yourself, are you predicting the future or just naming it in a way that feels safe? The paradox of the self-toucher. Touch your left hand with your right hand. Simple. Now ask yourself, which hand is doing the touching and which hand is being touched? It feels like a trick question because they're both involved, right? One is the toucher, the other is the touched. But now try something stranger. Clasp your hands together. Interlock your fingers. Now really think about it. Where does the touching start? Where does it end? Which hand is the subject? Which is the object? Welcome to the paradox of the self-toucher, a strange bodily riddle that reveals something eerie about self-awareness. When you touch something external, the roles are clear. You touch the table. You feel the texture of the wood. But when you touch yourself, you split into two roles, the observer and the observed, the subject and the object. But can those roles really exist at the same time? If your right hand touches your left, your right hand is the agent doing the action, but your left hand also feels the contact. It becomes the recipient. But then, can't you reverse it? Isn't your left hand also touching back? The paradox is subtle, but disturbing, because it suggests a crack in the very idea of selfhood. When you touch yourself, you aren't just one thing, you're two. Experiencing and being experienced, split from within. French philosopher Maurice Merleau-Ponty explored this idea, arguing that self-touch reveals a strange truth. The body is both subject and object, self and other. It isn't a container for the self. It is the self. And yet, when it turns inward, it creates a loop, a glitch in awareness, just like two mirrors facing each other, just like a camera filming itself. So now ask yourself, when you feel pain, who's feeling it? When you hear your thoughts, who's listening? When you touch your own hand, who exactly are you touching? Maybe you're not as singular as you seem. Maybe you've always been two sides of the same skin,